Good morning, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? We're gonna have a little fun today, guys. I don't have a lot prepared, but I got a message on Discord from David N saying, hey, guess what? Guess what's happening right now? They're taking the name of Donald Trump off of the Kennedy Center. I'm like, oh my god, okay, we'll do a watch party for a little while and see what we can see. See what he can see. He also mentioned that the men that are working on taking the sign down were speaking Spanish, so that should be a little more interesting of a topic as well. Shout out to everybody being here today, hanging out. Hey, Darpat, get a hold of me on Discord if you can, please. You won the last raffle prize. Hello, Dark Art Design. Good to see you, Cypher. Good to see you, Cypher, a member for 11 months. Mierda. Hello. My name. Yep, yeah, he's getting pulled off. He's getting peeled off. He is getting peeled off. Also, guys, hey, we got a really honorable and important fundraiser. And unfortunate news. 100% unfortunate news, too. But it needs to be said. Hey, Gene, how you doing? I need to cover this, guys. This is what we're going to be doing for a while until we can wrap it up. And it's going to take... This one's going to take a while. This one is going to take a while. And I'll explain why. So, the man right here to the right of Paige. This is Diesel. This is one of the men we've helped before in our fundraisers that we've done. So, he's in one of the brigades we've helped before. He was in combat the other day defending his homeland and ended up dispatching one of the enemies and was shot in the hip leg area, resulting in complete amputation of one of his legs. This is Diesel. This is one of the men we've been helping on our channel through Paige. So we're gonna get him a leg. And I mean, like, I'm not going to stop until I see this man walking again. So we're going to do whatever we can on my channel to support this. The goal right now is $3,000. These prosthetic limbs are anywhere between 8 to 20K. Makes me want to vomit thinking of how expensive these things are. But I can't think of a more noble cause. And it would be an honor to be able to help this man get back on his feet, literally. So that's going to be the goal we're going to do. I have the link to the fundraiser pinned into the chat. It is a 501c3. We're going to use Paige and Kansas donor box through Ukraine Frontline. So let's do what we can, please. I know times are tough. If we got to do this $5-10 at a time, I'm gonna do it until we're done. This is it. So all other fundraising is on hold for me until we get this man literally back on his feet. That's what I got to plug on that. We'll talk more later about it, I'm sure. You will not hear the end of that. Watch party. His name's coming down. His name's coming down. Let me cut the music. Cut the music a little bit. Check it out. I've also got some news articles to cover, of course. I've been scrolling through social media all morning. The first thing I got up to do before I even got out of bed was dunk on the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev. Because I guess that's what I do before I have coffee. I don't know. It's weird. It happened. It happened. There was men up on the scaffolding earlier. Looks like maybe they went down for a little break. How appropriate, though. How appropriate these men are speaking Spanish and taking his name down. I think that's hilarious. I absolutely... That tickles me. That tickles me. You know, all this also... there's an article I want to read, too, highlighted... just came out through the New York Times. Representative Melanie Stansbury, one of my favorite human beings, just because she's so personable and down to earth. in her communication and social media. I'm not going to agree with her all the time. No one's going to agree with each other all the time ever. But for the most part, she's really pushing this New York Times article that's going to get Todd Blanche subpoenaed, it sounds like, to testify about a huge revelation that they're reporting. So we'll peek into that here in a second. Looks like they cut the sound on the live feed. Or did I? There. I'm not live all the way, that's why. Or listen to a little background ambiance. A lot of news going. A lot of news. Here's the latest on the Epstein cover-up scandal from the New York Times. Inside the White House freakout over the Epstein files. This is a huge article. Stansberry's just been going off about on social media. My whole feed, all my feeds were Stansberry, because I follow her just on every social media platform. Pretty sure. Let's see what we got. So Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, White House reporters for the Times, are the authors of the forthcoming Regime Change Inside Imperial Presidency of Donald Trump. This article is drawn from reporting done for that book. June 10th, 2026. On July 17th, 2025, around 6 o'clock in the evening, President Trump's office officials filed into the White House Situation Room, a secure bunker where classified and high-stakes national security matters are discussed and decided. This was where President Barack Obama, along with Vice President Joe Biden, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and President's national security team watched the raid that ended with the death of Osama bin Laden in 2011. Now, however, Trump's most senior advisors have gathered without him to figure out how to gain some measure of control over a very different kind of crisis threatening to engulf the presidency: the Epstein files. The Epstein files. 10 days earlier, the Justice Department and FBI had jointly released a memo that bluntly stated that their review had found no client list of powerful men for whom the notorious pedophile Jeffrey Epstein had allegedly procured underage girls and young women, intended to put to rest years of speculation and the pressure campaign to release the voluminous material in the department's possession. The memo instead had the opposite effect, setting off a backlash that was notably allowed among MAGA base. Continuing the article. It's about to get worse. The Wall Street Journal was preparing a damaging article for Trump's relationship with Epstein. The president's desperate attempts to kill the story had failed. His team now had to get everyone onto the same page about how to counter the growing swarm of attention. They needed a gesture of transparency to appease an increasingly angry base, but also a way to convey the message that the president was sympathetic to his supporters' concerns, which itself was a problem because he clearly wasn't. Vice President J.D. Vance took a seat at the head of the table in the John F. Kennedy conference room of the Situation Room complex. This is a huge problem, he told the group. Arrayed around him were the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, the White House Counsel David Warrington, the Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, the Deputy Chief of Staff Taylor Budowich, the Communications Director Stephen Chung, the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the Associate Attorney General Stanley Woodward Jr., and the Deputy Chief of Staff James Blair, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and the FBI Director Kash Patel joined on speakerphone. The vice president appeared panicked to others in the room about the way the subject of Epstein was already dividing MAGA coalition. Some senior, let me turn this down a little bit. Some senior officials had the impression that Vance had bought into the darkest theories about Epstein and a cabal of predators hidden with the country's ruling class. Wiles would tell others that the vice president had proved himself to be a major conspiracy theorist. Another top official said later that Vance had been pounding on the Epstein issue since the release of the memo. He was privately pressing for the administration to release all the Epstein files, everything in the Justice Department's possession, even encouraging a congressional investigation. I wonder if he was trying to start a whole coup, a whole mutiny against his boss. I wouldn't put it past him. He wants him out of the way for sure. Vance had also floated to colleagues an extraordinary PR gambit at the White House enlist Tucker Carlson to interview Epstein's longtime girlfriend and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. It might help the president if Maxwell was willing to state that Trump had not been part of any wrongdoing with Epstein. Vance told the group he believed all the files should be released as soon as possible. He argued that Congress was going to force the release of the files eventually. It was already clear that a bipartisan coalition in favor of such action was forming on Capitol Hill. The momentum was going in one direction. If the administration got out ahead of this and released everything voluntarily, including whatever material existed about the president, it would at least get credit for transparency. The alternative was to let the story drag on for months and information dripped out, each new revelation renewing the cycle of suspicion and fury. Better to rip the bandage off and move on. Good old JD Vance. He wants that president seat, man. And the world's first trillionaire as of I believe yesterday, due to SpaceX going to IPO, is now Elon Musk, who, of course, is friends with Peter Thiel, who donated to J.D. Vance's initial campaign. Even the unsubstantiated, oh my God, I've had too much coffee. Even the unsubstantiated allegations and anecdotes about Trump should go out, Vance argued. They were going to surface regardless, and if the administration published them first, it would demonstrate good faith and take the oxygen out of the conspiracy theories. His arguments fell on skeptical ears, but some advisors thought it would be a good idea to have Justice Department officials call a news conference to explain their position on the Epstein affair, going beyond the memo that precipitated the crisis. Now, this whole headline should have had, I'm not done yet. This should have had more publicity than it did, but this was right during a strike in Iran. So it seemed as soon as this was released, we went back and we struck Iran. So cover up, bad timing, whatever. There's news articles every day. It sure is very suspicious on the timing and release of this. At this point in the meeting, Blair spoke. With all the due respect, he said, the communication strategy of this group got us here. I don't know that it's going to get us out. If you're going to go in front of the press, you've got a lot of work to do. He began to ask pointed mock questions demonstrating how difficult a news conference might be. As the president's former defense attorney, Blanche had a unique vantage point in the discussion. He was better equipped than anyone else in the room to weigh the ideas being discussed against Trump's personal and political interests. Blanche laid out what he saw as their best options. Option 1 was the petition of the federal district courts in Florida and New York to unseal the grand jury testimonies, the secret transcripts of prosecutors, presentations of witness and evidence in their efforts to obtain indictment in past Epstein-related cases, as those were almost certain to contain no significant new information. Everyone agreed that this option was a good idea, and not only because a release was unlikely to damage the president. Under the federal rules of criminal procedure, the secrecy of grand jury materials is regarded by most federal judges as almost always inviolate, and the bar for any release is exceptionally high. the courts refused to unseal them, as Blanche predicted, they could shift the blame for withholding the Epstein material away from Trump administration onto the judges. And all the better if the judges had been appointed by Democratic presidents. Wow. Trickery, trickery, trickery. Trickery, trickery. Blanche isn't a dummy. He's a smart dude. Blanche's suggestion would make it appear that the White House wanted the materials released when it's almost certain not to happen. Option 2 was to have Justice Department lawyers question Maxwell and publicly release the transcript. A twist on the idea proposed earlier by Vance, Blanche offered to interview Maxwell himself. What if we got her to talk to Congress, Vance suggested. Blanche raised the possibility that Maxwell's lawyer might expect something in return for her candor. This sounds like a coup against the president by his own staff. Warrington, the White House counsel, responded by laying out the available choices without advocating any of them. Maxwell could be given a pardon, he said, or she could have her sentence reduced. At that, several around the table spoke up to register their strong disapproval. Pardoning Maxwell, a trafficker of young girls, would create a huge PR problem, Chung said. He predicted that in the wake of a pardon, the Epstein accusers would be fanning out on TV, telling their stories and ripping the administration to shreds. Blair was, dude, this is so his Watergate. Blair was also adamantly opposed to a pardon. We can't offer Ghislaine Maxwell anything, he said. A, I don't know why we would. B, if we give Ghislaine Maxwell any sort of break whatsoever, and then she turns around and says nice things about us, or says nice things about us and we give her a break, it will undermine the entire point of her saying good things. That will feed the conspiracy theory, period. If there's nothing for her to say, that hurts us. We shouldn't have to offer her anything. Consensus was that calling for the release of the grand jury material was the best course of action. Wiles told the group she would discuss the matter with Trump and ask if he would send a Truth Social post calling for the release of the sealed grand jury documents. Ooh, let me take a little breather. This is a long article. This is good stuff. This is absolutely good stuff. This is, I feel, I'm already hearing they're going to subpoena Todd Blanche in front of Congress now because of this. And Stansberry's, I don't know, I know most of you guys probably follow her on social media. She's hot with it right now. This is hilarious. So who leaked all this? Your money's on JD Dance Vance? Just Dance Vance? It's good. LJ, I'm kind of with you on that one. I'm feeling some sort of way about that. But this is God, this might be, oh God, I hope this is just, let's just get this over with. Like, at this point, as bad as JD Vance is, well, he might be implemented too. We'll have to see. I don't know. We'll continue reading here. It's a pretty long article, but I've got the wind and the coffee for it, so we're going to continue. Just then, the Wall Street Journal article they had been trying to kill was published online. Cell phones are forbidden in the Situation Room, so a staff member brought in printed copies of the explosive report, which detailed how Trump and many others had created birthday cards and letters to be assembled by Maxwell into a special birthday book for Epstein in 2003. How? What is that? So while they're in the Situation Room, the Wall Street Journal publishes the article. Ooh. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. The birthday card attributed to Trump depicted a nude woman, hand-drawn and inscribed with an imagined dialogue between the two men about a wonderful secret. The drawing was signed with what appeared to be Trump's distinctive jagged Sharpie signature in place of the woman's pubic hair. Duck. In the days before publication, Trump, in the effort to quash the story, had called News Corp's chief executive Robert Thompson, News Corp owner Rupert Murdoch, and the Journal's editor-in-chief Emma Tucker. practically shouting. The president told Tucker, who is British, that she must hate America. He told he told her he would file a lawsuit. I'll sue you. Oh. But one of his bullying had worked, and now, as the group sat quietly reading the full story in the Situation Room, I'm sorry. Let me start over. But none of his bullying had worked, and now the group sat quietly reading the full story in the Situation Room, whilst readied a public denial for the president, which he soon posted on social media. Oh man, this is juicy as hell. Shortly after this, the president posted again. He was going along with the plan his advisors had hashed out in the Situation Room, because he has no clue what to do. Though it was clear he didn't like having to do it. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam, perpetuated by the Democrats, should end right now. God, this is so juicy. This feels like 100% real. This feels real in every way. All of this feels 100% real. Okay, I'm gonna continue reading. I just had to take a little break and kind of absorb what I'm reading here. Oof. Okay. Continue going. Where are we? Okay, in response to the request for the comment, I gotta be able to see the live chat too. It's gotta move some stuff around. Okay, we're gonna keep going. In response to a request for comment, a White House spokesperson, Abigail Jackson, repeated Trump's claims that he was innocent in all Epstein-related matters, adding that by releasing thousands of pages of documents, cooperating with the House Oversight Committee's subpoena request, signing the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and calling for more investigations into Epstein's Democrat friends, President Trump has done more for Epstein's victims than anyone before him. At the start of last summer, as far as outside observers could see, Trump appeared to be at the pinnacle of his power. He had just bombed nuclear sites in Iran, completed a blitz of executive orders to reshape the immigration system, and rammed through Congress with his signature piece of domestic legislation, the Big Beautiful Bill, which is hurting the economy terribly right now. He was using the levers of the government to go after his enemies. And out of fear and desperation, America's corporate titans were falling over themselves to genuflect. But behind the scenes, the Epstein crisis was paralyzing the Trump administration to a far greater extent than the public knew. In their public statements, Trump's advisors were full of bravado, dismissing the crisis. In reality, it was consuming the highest ranks of the administration, as no issue had for the president's team since the Russia investigation in his first term. His aides were determined to keep their rising sense of panic out of public view. The Justice Department had struggled with just how to dispose of the Epstein matter since the beginning of Trump's second term. The issue was all-consuming for the president's political base, also potentially compromising for the president himself in ways that officials in the new administration didn't fully understand. Any path forward would be fraught. Some of that complexity was self-inflicted. In the engine room of the MAGA movement, the Epstein files were potent fuel. Elon Musk had used his social media platform to repeatedly question why a client list had not been released. Donald Trump Jr. and J.D. Vance had invoked the Epstein files as a broader campaign message to argue that powerful people were hiding the truth from Americans. Tucker Carlson and young conservative leader Charlie Kirk had each insisted that the government should release the documents, and each floated the idea that there was an expansive cover-up in progress. Trump himself had been cagey. On the Lex Fridman podcast in September of 2024, when asked about releasing the client list, Trump responded, "I certainly take a look at it," adding, "I have no problem with it. The list probably will be made public, he said, but he sounded less than enthusiastic. In private, Trump later told Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene that a release of Epstein material could hurt some of his friends. He repeatedly insisted that he had done nothing wrong and that the whole saga was fake news, designed to harm him politically. His posture was overtaken by the growing frenzy among his supporters. Throughout 2024, Greene had made it her mission to force the release of the Epstein files. And there was so many others. The far-right left influencer Laura Loomer, and the conservative activist Scott Presler, Chaya Raichik from Libs of TikTok. But when it came to propagating the Epstein files as evidence of the deep state capable of evil, two podcasters were not to be outdone: Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Patel, a National Security Council Director for Counterterrorism and Defense Department Chief of Staff in the first Trump administration, had repeatedly claimed in podcast interviews that the government was hiding Epstein's black book or client list, and he frequently asserted that the FBI was deliberately withholding names to protect the powerful. Patel promised that in Trump's second administration would release everything to restore public trust. On the Dan Bongino show, Bongino's background as a Secret Service agent lent authority to his claims of a cover-up. What the hell are they hiding with Jeffrey Epstein, he asked in his large audience of MAGA devotees. The release of client lists would rock the political world, he predicted. The Washington swamp was not telling you the truth. And so they took office in 2025. Trump's advisors were subject to intense pressures of their own making. Attorney General Bondi quickly made things much worse. First, in a Fox News interview on February 21st, she appeared to confirm the existence of the Epstein client list, something that MAGA base had believed was sitting in the files, hidden, and hinted its release was imminent. Asked whether the Justice Department might release the names, she responded, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review." But many viewed what came 6 days later as even more egregious misstep: the Dow. On February, wait, I forgot about this part. I just peeked into it here. On February 27th, the White House Communications Office scheduled a lineup of cabinet officials to brief popular right-wing influencers in the Roosevelt Room. The session began with Vice President Vance, followed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, walking the influencers through the administration's agenda. In attendance was a who's who of online MAGA. Sorry, I heard chanting. In attendance was the who's who of online MAGA: Mike Cernovich, Liz Wheeler, Colleen Rugg, DC Drano. The president himself brought them to the Oval Office and gave them custom-designed challenge coins as a token of his appreciation. Before everything went wrong, one of them would remark, "It was the best day of my life." Then the Attorney General and her team walked into the Roosevelt Room carrying boxes. Bondi had brought binders and handouts for the influencers. Her aides would later tell colleagues that the FBI had prepared them, with the assurance that they contained revelatory details. Someone on her staff said, "Watch this. This is cool. This is going to be epic." But as Bondi's staff started distributing the binders, the blood pressure of the other officials in the room skyrocketed. They had no idea what was in the handouts. The Attorney General was distributing something she called the Epstein files that had not been vetted by anyone in the White House. One official opening the binder began flipping through pages to see if Trump's name was mentioned anywhere. A few pages in, right in the middle of the page, there it was. Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, was at the White House that day. If news broke that Epstein files had been released before the president was to meet the press with the Prime Minister, that would be all the journalists would want to talk about, and Trump would be blindsided. God, what a famous photo. Jack Posobiec was there too. Bunch of goons. Yeah, they're chanting "Take it down" in the background over here when we're doing the watch party. All right, next. One of Trump's aides hastily steered the influencers out of the White House, telling them that the content of the binders was embargoed until after the president's news conference with Starmer, but that the communications office would be more than happy to talk about the files afterwards. As the influencers left, they snapped selfies in front of the White House, holding their binders, quickly posting the pictures on social media. They had now created a new shockwave of anticipation for what might be in them. I can't believe people actually fell for that shit. Like some others in the White House, Bondi had either grossly underestimated or simply been blind to the voracious appetite of the MAGA base for information about Epstein. Her binders contained information about him and his activities, flight logs, contact lists, summaries of items taken from his residences after his 2019 arrest, and other material, but nearly all of it had been previously released. Bondi had somehow simultaneously oversold a trivialized the Epstein files, and now the influencers were made to feel like dupes. Okay, it looks like we've got the workers are coming back from break, guys. Richard, good to see you. 23 YYZ, good to see you guys. Workers are coming back. All right, we're going to continue with this article. This is good stuff. It's lengthy, but it's worth reading. I'm going to take a drink of water. Yeah. Imagine how they got to feel. It's a historic moment taking his name down. Okay, so we left off where they felt like dupes. Okay, in the Roosevelt room, Bondi had told the influencers that this was just the first tranche of files. I love that word. There would be more coming, she assured them. But that story would change too. Justice Department officials were reviewing the Epstein material, but months would pass before the department or any of the Trump's closest advisors knew just how many documents there were. More than 3 million pages of files related to Epstein and potentially as many as 6 million. In the early months, officials were focused on going through a trove of what are now known as the 302 forms, recorded of FBI agents' interviews, notes with witnesses, some of whom were victims of Epstein. These were raw records, often containing unverified information. Trump was mentioned numerous times, as were other prominent men. In June, 4 months after the circus in the Roosevelt room with the influencers Bondi and Blanche briefed the president of the status of the Epstein review. "We've gone through the files," Blanche told Trump. "There's not a lot there. A lot of child porn, obviously we can't put any of that out. There are some mentions of you, but nothing substantive. Most of Trump's advisors had rejected out of hand the idea of releasing the FBI's raw interview notes. More important, they wanted to avoid putting out anything that could damage the president. With full transparency, a non-starter, a small group of White House and Justice Department officials decided to draft a memo that would explain why the department was not releasing any further information about Epstein. But even the process of composing the memo was fraught, in part because no one wanted their name on it, and in part because of deep concerns within the leadership of the FBI. Mabinder. For weeks, Patel and Bongino, the deputy FBI director, had grown more infuriated as they realized the scale of the mess for which they were now being blamed. They repeatedly raised alarms internally that Epstein crisis was gathering momentum with Trump supporters. Bongino wanted to convey something definitive to the MAGA base, and he and Patel pushed for the immediate release of the surveillance footage from the federal facility where Epstein was found dead in his cell. Bongino hated the Justice Department's nothing to see here memo being drawn for the public release. He told Patel this would in no way align with their promises of transparency after taking over the FBI, and he objected to putting the FBI seal on the letterhead. but he was overruled. Patel privately shared many of Bongino's concerns. In an internal email on July 2nd, the FBI director gave his support for the memo. All right, taking a breath. Whew. That's a big article. Have you guys read this one yet? I'm about halfway through it. We're 40 minutes into the watch party. I'm halfway through this breaking article. This is boy, very efficient. Okay, continue. Thanks for the edits, and I still believe this is the correct vehicle for it, Patel wrote, with the occasional typo to a small group of colleagues, including Blanche. I'm happy to add any additional sentences to compete the shortfall, but I do think we address specifically why more can't be released as it relates to specific topics, i.e. court order, CSAM, child sexual abuse material, victim protection, etc. Bondi rarely used her Justice Department email and was not on the chain where the group worked on the memo. He was aware of both the memo and the release of the prison video, but was not involved in editing the document. Inside the White House, Trump had no interest in releasing anything. And senior officials, including Wiles and Blair, were initially unconvinced about the reach of Epstein crisis. They told colleagues that Republican voters didn't care, and they had early data from Trump's chief pollster, Tony Fabrizio, to demonstrate it. The Epstein brouhaha, in their view, was driven by fringe conspiracy theorists and amplified by noisy online influencers who didn't represent a meaningful block of voters. If the White House engaged, it would only pump it up, putting an official stamp on the matter. They wanted to treat it like the UFO files. Wiles, Blair, and others around Trump had seen him weather every storm imaginable for years. And in their view, this wasn't a storm, it was passing clouds at most. Bongino told anyone who would listen that it was a grave miscalculation. It's not an online story, he told White House advisors. You don't understand. On July 7th, the Department of Justice and the FBI released the memo. It was brief and an unsigned 1.5-page statement explaining, after an exhaustive search of its database, hard drives, and network drives, as well as physical searches of squad areas, locked cabinets, desks, closets, and other areas where responsive material may have been stored, and a corresponding review of more than 300 gigabytes of evidence, the department concluded that there was no evidence Epstein had maintained a client list. Hey Pyro, good to see you. We're doing a watch party read through, guys. This is the New York Times article that was just released. It sounds like Todd Blanche is gonna get subpoenaed because of it. Okay. The memo also reaffirmed the official finding that Epstein's death in 2019 had been a suicide. The memo was accompanied by the release of the video footage from the federal jail in Manhattan where Epstein died, footage that officials said supported the conclusion of suicide. And with that, the memo indicated the Trump administration would not be releasing further information regarding the Epstein case, and no further investigation of uncharged third parties was warranted. Less than 5 months after Bondi had referred it to the secret client list of high-profile predators, the case was closed, or so it seemed. If the administration expected that the memo would be the last word on the Epstein case, and the president's most ardent supporters would accept the purported conclusions of the Department of Justice simply because the department and its investigative agencies were now controlled by Donald Trump, they were sorely mistaken. The memo was an earthquake, and it was received by a part of the MAGA base as an outright betrayal. It amounted to an abrupt disavowal of the sinister conspiracy theories that some of Trump's closest confidants had hyped during the Biden presidency, and they had promised to expose once Trump was returned to power. You got it, Kimberly. This is important to read. I know. Melanie was all over this. Thanks for the gift. Guys, hit the like, subscribe as well if you haven't already. If you would, please. The release of the surveillance video, which Bongino and Patel had intended as a gesture of transparency, further fueled the fire. The Department of Justice ended up releasing roughly 11 hours of prison video intended to show that nothing nefarious occurred. But the footage was missing a minute. A visible timestamp jumped from 11:58 p.m. to midnight. Bondi initially attributed this to a nightly system reset. The footage was later restored and released. Too many of Trump's followers, however, this was yet more evidence of a cover-up. White House officials complained privately that they hadn't been told about the gap before the release. Social media lit up with blame, not just for Bondi, but for Patel and Bongino too. None of the three had ever experienced anger at this volume from Trump's conservative base. It was disorienting, which is scary. I mean, some of these people are nuts. It was disorienting, especially for Patel and Bongino, whose power and influence had been built online. The movement that had treated them as heroes was suddenly turning on them. The two men were now tightly connected to a memo that stated in black and white that while information in the government's possession showed ample evidence of Epstein's own wrongdoing, there was no evidence of a wider conspiracy. The day the memo was released, Bongino showed up to a daily Justice Department meeting with the FBI staff and the Attorney General. He was in a volcanic mood. As soon as he entered the room, he erupted at Bondi, shouting at her, "You fucked this thing up from the start," Bongino yelled. "The way you've been talking about this, that dumb fucking charade with Epstein files, the they're on my desk nonsense, all the promises to the folks out there." Patel Bongino subsequently told a White House official that Bondi needed to resign. 2 days later, on July 9th, the two men were summoned to a meeting with Wiles and Bondi in the Situation Room complex. They were the last to enter the small wood-paneled room. Seated around the table were Bondi, Wiles, Blanche, and Taylor Budovich, one of the Wiles deputies. The moment Bongino sat down, Wiles told him she had been informed he leaked a sensitive story about Epstein and Trump to ABC News. "I'll tell you what," Bongino replied. "I'll give you $100,000 cash right now. I'm not kidding. Walk out of the West exec, put that reporter on speaker, and get him to admit I leaked it. $100,000. Wiles snapped back. "Well, we all got ourselves into this." Bongino cut her off. No. We didn't get ourselves into anything. I warned you guys about this the whole time, and you ignored me. And exactly what I said was going to happen happened. And now you're pretending I was on this. I was in on this. I was never in on this." Bongino's aggressive response to Wiles startled the others. He was the White House chief of staff, essentially a stand-in for the president. Wiles put Bongino on the spot. "Going forward," she said, "we are all in. We are all going to agree to move forward. Are you in or not?" "No, I'm not," Bongino said. "This is not my plan. I'm not part of this going forward. Forget it. I'm out of here." He stormed out of the Situation Room on the West Executive Avenue, where he climbed into the back of Patel's armored SUV and directed the driver to take him to the FBI headquarters. Holy shit! This is hot, boy! This is hot. What a freaking awesome article. Man, New York Times. Woo! I got goosebumps. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Some of Bongino's close friends hoped he would resign right then, an act of protest that would have made him a MAGA martyr and only increase his following. He would have. Oof. He definitely leaked this. You think it was Bongino? He would have took credit. Oh, maybe not. He'd probably get his ass suit off. because it was where it was at the Situation Room. But White House advisors intervened, urging him to stay. If he quit over Epstein and went public, it could severely damage the president. Bongino told associates he would remain for Trump's sake and keep pushing for more Epstein information to be released. Privately, he seethed. In conversations with confidants, he lamented what the job had cost him: millions of dollars in podcast revenue, family time, his audience. He was getting torn apart over a strategy he had opposed from the start. Relationship. God, can you imagine that? Here I'm worried about getting demonetized for $10, and this guy's freaking out over millions on his podcast. Oh, Jesus. The relationship at the top of Justice Department were now beyond dysfunctional. At another July meeting in Wild's office, Bongino and Patel told the chief of staff they suspected that Bondi had leaked negative stories about them. Blondie fucked this whole thing up, Bongino later told a confidant, echoing Loomer's derisive nickname for the Attorney General. She was one of the TV. She was the one on TV saying over and over that they had all this stuff. There was never anything. We were always clear about this, or we were always clear about that. Sorry, Braveheart. But now everyone thinks we did something wrong, and I gave up everything. Bongino complained that he had given up his high-rated show and millions of dollars, and now it's all disappeared because people think we screwed something up with Epstein. Bongino paused. This is going to be the president's Iran-Contra. On July 12th, the president took to Truth Social to defend Bondi against criticism and to urge his boys and gals to stop wasting time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Wow. Trump told aides he was very unhappy with some of the most influential supporters, including Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and Megyn Kelly, all of whom publicly urging the administration to come clean. Kirk had held a Turning Point USA event the previous day that turned into an Epstein grievance fest, with one speaker after another bashing Bondi over her handling of the situation. Trump had called Kirk and scolded him. I'd never do that. Ooh. Stop it. I want to go down a rabbit hole right now. Nobody in Trump's orbit had a better feel for the younger part of the MAGA base than Kirk, who saw the Epstein cover-up and, as it was now viewed, was capturing attention to an alarming extent. Donald Trump Jr. and J.D. Vance, both of whom spent considerable time on X and were tapped into the same younger and hyper-online portion of the base, were also worried. They urged the White House to change course and force the Justice Department to release more of the files. This article is opening a lot of doors. A lot. Vance made clear to colleagues that he feared losing some of the so-called low-propensity voters, the young men who were not traditional Republicans, but who had voted for Trump-Vance ticket in 2024. This was an audience tuned into the manosphere podcasters like Joe Rogan, and it was worrisome that podcast hosts themselves were now rebelling. There was one major obstacle in the path of solution. The president himself still had no interest in transparency. He wanted the whole Epstein issue buried, and he was snapping at anyone who mentioned it. His staff largely avoided the subject in their conversations with him, forced to worry among themselves. Finally, on July 16th, an exasperated Truth Social post, seemingly desperate to make his case in language that might resonate his base, Trump somewhat nonsensically called the Epstein case a hoax by Democrats and then proceeded to heap abuse on members of his party and his base, disavowing the support, calling them past supporters and weaklings who had bought into this bullshit, hook, line, and sinker. As the president was trying to redirect everyone away from the Epstein on social media, members of both parties began to push the other way. Many Democrats embraced the growing Epstein scandal as a top focus in their messaging and as a weapon against Trump. They were joined by a few renegade Republicans, which added the political pressure on the president's team. Renegade Republicans, I like that. Representatives Thomas Massie, a Republican, and Ro Khanna, a Democrat, filed H.R. 4405, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, in the House, and although they did not yet have the votes for the bill, it would become the next battleground as the president dug in against releasing information. Word reached the White House in late July, meanwhile, that a subpoena would be coming from the House Oversight Committee, led by James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky. It had been pushed by committee Democrats with the help of some Republicans, and it compelled the release of the files Justice Department had on Epstein. On the day that Trump's team learned about the looming subpoena, other Epstein crisis meeting was convened in the Situation Room to discuss the pressure coming from Congress. It included most of the same group: Wiles, Vance, Blanche, Warrington, Patel, Bondi, Blair, Chung, Budovich, and Leavitt. Blair told the group that they would try to make sure they were cooperating fully with the House subpoena, but that the priority was to release information that demonstrated Trump was not involved in Epstein's crimes. Blanche gave an assessment of the Epstein material he had personally reviewed or been briefed on, including a volume of child pornography. The conversation turned to how these files should be released to the public. The idea already in the works was to put all Epstein-related material on a website. That way they could overwhelm the magosphere with far greater volumes of real information in the form of a huge database. That was wow. I wonder if Blanche is going to try to claim client privilege on this. The website had been easy to build, and they were looking at potentially going live within a week. They had already accumulated a mountain of material that Blanche had been scrolling through, and it included piles of documents from both civil and criminal cases. They planned to release it all. Blanche could then appear on Rogan's podcast to promote the transparency from the White House. But as it turned out, the searchable website would not go live on their initial timetable, and the version of the site they originally conceived would never be released to the public. By late summer, it was plainly apparent to the president's top aides that the Epstein saga was not the same as the countless other crises they had weathered during their service to Trump. The great surprise and growing disquiet, Trump's old tricks of deflection and denial weren't working. In late July, the Trump team had discussed in their crisis meetings. It was Blanche who interviewed Maxwell. Over 2 days, she told him she had witnessed no troubling behavior by Trump and didn't recall him sending the birthday card drawn in the shape of a nude woman. Soon after, she quietly moved to a minimum security federal prison camp in Texas, a transfer left unexplained at first, which only deepened the public outrage. Blanche said nearly 5 months later that Maxwell had faced numerous threats against her life. Took 5 months to come up with a reason. I need water. As the calls for transparency grew louder, the top ranks of the Trump administration spent even more time in the bunker. By now, the Situation Room itself had become inseparable from the crisis, a guarded space where Trump's inner circle worked to steer the president around a scandal that would soon taint or consume careers at the highest level of business, science, and politics. On August 13th, Trump's team met again in the secure complex at 6 p.m. for 2 hours to refine the Epstein defense strategy. Again, the group included Wiles, Bondi, Blanche, Patel, Blair, Budovich, Chong, and Levitt. Vance phoned in from Britain. Vice President once again pushed to release as much of the Epstein files as possible. And with an eye on the public messaging, he proposed that he should be the one to appear on Rogan's influential podcast. Vance had just gotten off the phone with Rogan, and he later told others that Rogan said he wouldn't have Blanche on his show, but would take Vance. Why wouldn't he take Blanche? Vance argued that if he were the one to appear on Rogan's show, then only a part of the conversation would be about Epstein. The rest of the interview, he told the group, could be about the president's recently passed legislation and what it would do for working families. But the larger conversation before them was how to handle the crisis and the public relations risks for the administration. The challenge would be any embarrassing or damaging allegations about the president, even if they were unsubstantiated. Workers must be coming back. If everything was publicly available on the website they had planned, it could include all kinds of potentially humiliating material. Suddenly, one of the officials in the Situation Room raised the subject of a disturbing but uncorroborated accusation against Trump that had come to light in unsealed filings from a 2015 defamation case brought by Virginia Giuffre against Maxwell, which had been settled 2 years later. The secondhand accusation alleging a specific type of sexual abuse was the perfect example of something that would show up on the public website and put the spotlight on Trump, whether it was true or not. Giuffre, who had met Epstein when she was a teenage spa attendant at Trump's Club Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, became one of the sex offender's most outspoken victims. Giuffre stated in late 2016 that to her knowledge, Trump had done nothing improper. She died by suicide in April of 2025, 3 months after Trump returned to power. The old Giuffre case file included emails sent to a journalist by another Epstein victim, Sarah Ransom, who later sued Epstein and Maxwell. Epstein had also settled that case. In the emails, Ransom claimed that she knew a girl in Epstein's sex trafficking ring named Jen, who said she had sex with Trump. Ransom also claimed that Jen had told her that Trump had predilection or nipples, and that he had aggressively flicked and... Oh, God. Okay, I'm going to pass on that part. Ransom wrote that he had seen evidence when she shared a bathroom with Jen. It looked incredibly painful and were red. Okay, I'm not going yuck. Okay. Yuck. I'm going to skip that. Yuck. Ransom's credibility was not uncomplicated. She had made another claim that she possessed video footage of prominent men having sex with young girls in Epstein's entourage. He later retracted the claim, saying she feared for herself and her family if she proceeded. After a federal judge ordered the unsealing of some of Giuffre case files in 2023, the document that connected Trump to the claim about abused nips was among the material that came out. It was an unconfirmed allegation and had not been made publicly, but the disclosure led to some articles that were quickly lost in the swirl of election year news. Some of Trump's advisors in the Situation Room had never heard of the nip claim. Those who had seemed to have only a passing familiarity with it. Many in the room thought it was all just discredited nonsense. but it might not matter. The ransom emails could get new attention if they were included in public-facing and searchable Epstein library that carried the branding of the Justice Department. An administration official had already searched for the Trump-related materials on still private test version of the website, and the nipple material was among the first items to show up. None of the credibility issues would come into consideration if a government-endorsed database gave Ransom's claim about Trump a stamp of validity. This is out there, one of the officials told the group in the Situation Room. They're going to make a huge scene of this, even though it's not true and everybody knows it. Blanche argued that in context, the ransom document, the ransom's disavowal of some of the other claims, would make clear why the allegations related to Trump had never been pursued for prosecution. Besides, these allegations were already available online because of what had been unsealed, so there's no reason to leave them off the Justice Department website. The vice president said he thought the president would be okay with releasing the nipple-related documents, arguing that Trump had been accused of worse. I think we should put it out, he said. It would cause the people to say we're going further than we need to, Wiles quickly responded that the president would not, in fact, be okay with it. It was a point no one wanted to continue debating. One official would later describe it as surreal experience to be discussing nipples in the White House Situation Room. This is crazy. This was in miniature the entire problem the White House had with the Epstein files. Piles of accusations were impossible to disprove, and equality impossible to make go away. Every door they opened led to another room, and in every room were more claims for more women. For a few weeks, they thought they had found a way out. The subpoena from Comer's committee had specifically requested Justice Department documents, communications with the White House, and material from the Epstein and Maxwell's criminal case files, not material from civil litigation, such as the ransom emails. They could comply with the letter of the subpoena, post the Justice Department material to a stripped-down version of the planned website, and leave the rest aside. All the cases were separate matters, outside of the remit of the Justice Department. And the subpoena allowed for another escape hatch. The Justice Department could withhold certain documents as long as it explained House lawmakers that they were and why they were held back. But the strategy collapsed quickly. More Republican lawmakers would press for additional disclosures, including former Trump allies like Green and Lauren Boebert. And the Trump administration was slow to comply with even the initial limited set of documents required by the House subpoena. By mid-November, the bipartisan coalition the Trump team had worried about since the summer finally had the votes to force the administration's hand. The Epstein Files Transparency Act passed the House and the Senate in quick succession, and on November 19th, Trump, yielding to inevitable, signed it into law. The new law went further than the House subpoena. It sought a broader tranche of files and contained a warning to the administration that no records shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. It sought everything that Trump spent the better part of the year trying to suppress. The legislators who passed the bill had no idea how many files they had mandated to be released within a month. Pages would end up numbering in the millions, and the president, his family, and places like his Mar-a-Lago estate would be referred to more than 38,000 times, according to the New York Times analysis. Nipplegate? I'm dead. Okay. Yep. Okay, you win the internet. Hey, you win the internet. The Trump Justice Department said there was no client list, but the entire episode was another flashing light in an era. I can't get that out of my head. When belief in the American system of justice had corroded the point of collapse. Raw witness accounts and evidence from incomplete criminal investigations were never meant to be seen by the public. There were long-standing systems in place to protect both accused and the accuser. The files amounted to a public dump of any Justice Department document that mentioned Epstein's name, no matter whether the information was confirmed as accurate or not. The release pages did name many powerful men. Among them was Epstein's former close friend to the President of the United States. Oh, now the President of the United States. My apologies. Okay, we're almost done with the article. Whew. In a January 2020 email, a federal prosecutor told a colleague that Trump had flown on Epstein's private jet far more than anyone knew. Flight records in the files showed at least 8 trips between 1993 and 1996, sometimes with his second wife, Marla Maples, sometimes with his children. In January 2024, Trump declared that he had never been on the plane. What else remained undisclosed? The question would only sharpen as people combed through what was redacted or missing. The Justice Department, after more than 3.5 million documents were made public, said no others needed to be released. Trump characteristically was creating his own reality. He had a long claim that everyone else was corrupt, especially his critics. These files, he said, would, despite the avalanche of references to him, were the proof. There are a lot of questions about it, he told reporters at the White House in February 2026, but nothing on me. Trump had declared Epstein a dead issue during the summer, but as he began the second year of his presidency, his own team would see the voter concerns about Epstein were still breaking through to an alarming extent. I need water. Give me a second. Whew. Okay, an internal memo circulating to roughly a dozen Trump advisors in late March 2026, the president's pollster Fabrizio summarized findings from 2 nights of focus groups conducted that month. Fabrizio's memo listed the Epstein files as the 6th most important issue raised in the focus groups, behind inflation, the economy, foreign policy, immigration, and healthcare, but ahead of data centers, military issues, crime and safety, and being pro-working class. In the section of the key takeaways of the focus groups, Fabrizio's memo stated, there is also a consistent mention of the Epstein files, which came up in every group and is a real negative with some of these voters. The Epstein crisis has exposed something that some of Trump's closest advisors spent months refusing to see. The president could break institutions, redirect the federal government against his enemies, and bring the world's richest men into the Oval Office bearing tribute. But he could not, it turned out, make Jeffrey Epstein disappear. That is from the New York Times article in Bull. Woo! Holy cow. Holy cow. That is a bombshell of an article. This is Melanie Stansberry says this is the Watergate. This is it. Todd Blanche will be subpoenaed, is what she is saying. They will be subpoenaing Todd Blanche to testify. Now, I don't know if he's going to say anything, obviously. I mean, I think he has to. I think he has to. The intricacy of this article makes it sound very, very believable. Very believable. What do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think. Who leaked the article? Bongino. Vance. It was JD Vance. You think it was Vance?
Yeah, it's dialed right here. He's a slay.
I think
You're showing your age.
the intricacy behind that, man. I think Danny did it. You know, it kind of makes him. And if I'm going to give my opinion on this, that article does kind of put Bongino into a light out of everybody else. It frames him to be the one that's coming out as the hero. It does seem like Bongino. Me. It does. It feels that sort of way. All right, they're on the scaffolding. Dude, oh man, I got like 20 minutes. 30. Got a little over, I got about 25, 30 minutes. I gotta take this down quick. They're still getting the scaffolding up. It's gonna take a little more time. I might have to step out just for a minute and come back to it. A little bit here. I want to see what I saved some I believe I saved some clips for at least Melanie Stansberry coming out, and I wanted to share her talking about this. All right, here. Here's Representative Stansberry talking about it.
We are all glad to hear that Mr. Comer has had a change of heart in making sure that Todd Blanche is brought before this committee. We want to make clear that he must be brought before this committee under oath in a deposition that is recorded for the American people to see. And this is separate from his confirmation process. Todd Blanche is at the heart of the cover-up of this case, as was revealed especially in the New York Times explosive reporting today about Situation Room meetings that were held in which Todd Blanche, as the president's personal attorney and deputy AG, was working with others, including the vice president, to help to try to cover up this case. Now, with regards to Bill Gates' interview today, what we have learned is that Mr. Gates saw this as an opportunity to interact with a financial advisor who had access to vast amounts of wealth, that Mr. Gates was interested in potentially forming partnerships to bring donors into his global health work. And so he saw his relationship and conversations with Jeffrey Epstein as a means to potentially get wealthy donors to donate philanthropically to Mr. Gates' global health.
Oh my God. Okay, so Bill Gates is saying the whole reason he knew Epstein was for the benefit of the fucking world. I don't buy that one bit.
Admitted that he knew of Mr. Epstein's reputation. He admitted that he knew that he had been convicted of sexual crimes, but ultimately, in his words, he viewed this narrow relationship as being an acceptable means to access wealthy donors. So obviously, we have a lot of questions, but we're glad that he's cooperating with the investigation.
I knew Jeffrey Epstein for the benefit of the world. That's a little wild to me. Little wild to me. Oh, I gotta be careful before I scroll through X. Bill Gates. It was all about money for my healthcare plans, for the benefit of society. I don't buy that for 1 second. Philanthropically involved with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't see that happening. I don't see Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein flying on the Star Trek Enterprise for the benefit of humanity. I see them more as Ferengi. Speaking of Ferengis, Stephen Miller just dropped another tranche of UFO files, guys. The Iran war must be going really bad. We have more UFO files now today. Here it is. New tranche of UFO files was just dropped. We're gonna look at the UFO files. My aliens. Oh, Jesus. Here, I'll pull my aliens over to the side here and take a peek. Did they release my selfie? Skipfoo says. My alien files. My aliens. This is a picture of how Stephen Miller was born. As his fetus circled Uranus. National Enquirer files. I'm looking to see if there's anything here I haven't seen a million times, stoned out of my brain watching weird shit on YouTube. Guys, also, back to reality. Reality is war continues in Ukraine, and we have a job to do for Diesel. If you guys would like to, please donate to the current fundraiser for a prosthetic leg. He lost his leg in combat this last week against the Russians. He dispatched one of the enemies, and another Russian enemy in a bush, hopped out and shot him in the hip, resulting in the complete amputation of his leg up to his groin. Raven is actually the one that helped medevac him out. Seen here to the left of Paige. These are her dear friends. This one is straight to the heart. These prosthetics that we're looking, she was mentioning, were anywhere from 8,500 to 20K. So we're gonna do this in chunks if we can. I'm hoping he can find like a sponsorship, which would be great. But in the meantime, we are going to generate as much funds as we can for this man. This is a 501c3. It is pinned in the description of the chat. We're trying to get him a prosthetic. I want to see this man walk again. Skipfoo leaked the info. We need a ballroom for the aliens. Yeah, we've been helping him on this channel through some of the fundraisers. Yeah, and it's tragic, absolute tragedy. It wasn't in my cards this week to have to fundraise a prosthetic leg for a man, but it's the biggest honor in the world I could possibly have to help him, and I hope you guys feel the same way. David N, thank you for the link today, my dude. Thank you for the watch party link. David N threw this link in Discord, and I immediately was like, I'm going live. All right, UFO files, guys. They got a video. Let's see what we got here. The UFOs right here. Newly released UFO.
You staying cool? All right, man.
Stephen Miller distraction files. There it is. There it went. Another little orb, white ball. Okay. So then it looks like they slow it down too. Okay. What do we got? What am I looking at? A fucking balloon? There's your distraction for the day, guys. Forget the war in Iran. Forget the Epstein files. We got some grainy footage, black and white. Clouds. And a blip. That's what you get. We've sprayed them with beer and abducted them. Sent them back home. Tons. Fucking birthday balloon. No more UFO files. That's all I'm going to tolerate. That's all I'm going to tolerate. Oh, wait. Here. Here's the last year UFO files. Right here. That's 3 Russian prostitutes meeting with their comprobot. There you go. That's all you're getting. Oh yeah, here we go. Here, Tulsi Gabbard and the Ukrainian biolabs conspiracy. Now she's releasing documents. Dude. Here's your Tulsi Gabbard before she leaves.
After months of searching through intelligence community holdings and files, today I'm releasing new evidence of long-standing U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine, which could be at risk of compromise due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, the intelligence community had previously warned that a U.S.-funded biolab in Ukraine likely housed dangerous pathogens and remained vulnerable to long-standing threats of Russian attack, seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people. Many of these U.S. government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research, with very little visibility or oversight. Now, President Trump clearly understands the serious threat dangerous gain-of-function research poses to the American people. And this is why he took decisive action over a year ago. On May 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order to end federal funding of gain-of-function research around the world. Here at ODNI, I issued new guidance to the intelligence community directing increased collection on these laboratories and facilities overseas. And we're already seeing the results of this increased collection. We're learning new details, for example, on clinical trials that are underway at these facilities and that are raising significant ethical, financial, and security concerns regarding the supposed public health initiatives and U.S. national security. Now, despite the obvious potential for catastrophic global impact that research on dangerous pathogens in biolabs can have, politicians and so-called health professionals like Dr. Fauci, as well as entities within the Biden administration's national security team, lied repeatedly to the American people about the existence of U.S.-funded and supported biolabs. Not only did they lie, they threatened those who attempted to expose the truth. So this release today breaks new ground, as the information surrounding the existence, history, locations, and funding of these U.S.-funded biolabs has been intentionally covered up by very powerful people who falsely claimed that these biolabs didn't exist. Now, they accuse anyone who says otherwise to be foreign assets and traitors to America. Now, ODNI will continue working closely with partners across the U.S. government to identify exactly where these labs are and what pathogens they contain, to end dangerous gain-of-function research that threatens the health and well-being of the American people and people around the world.
Well, there's your daily propaganda from Tulsi Gabbard. I replied to her. One final fuck
After
you
months
before
of searching through intelligence community holdings.
I can't even. How they spin this shit. God forbid we do any research on on diseases that can kill us. God forbid we do any research to save our lives in case of an outbreak. Tool C. She's got to spin her narrative. Loyal to the end. I'll give her one thing. She is loyal as fuck. Oh, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, another conspiracy theory proven correct. Thank you, Trump and Tulsi. Absolute horse shit. Dog water. Hibbity dog water. Biolabs. Guys, I'm gonna leave the watch party on. I'll be right back. I have to run out. I'll be back in a few minutes. Feel free to stick around. I have the watch party as they take down Donald Trump's name from the Kennedy Performance Studio, Art Studio, of the Kennedy Center. I will be back momentarily. All right, thank you to my co-host Leonardo for the assist. I'm back. I'm back. I had to go pick up my kids. It was the last day of school. Yay, school's out. I'm back into parenting prison. Woohoo! I had my final meal before the electric chair today. It was French toast. Alright, looks like they got the scaffolding up, yeah? Like, subscribe if you haven't, guys. He's gonna go watch Steven Spielberg's new film today. Disclosure Day came out. No, his name's getting taken down. A court order forced Donald Trump to take his name off of the Kennedy Center. So they're taking it down. And the funny thing is, David N. pointed out earlier that the men taking it down were speaking Spanish.
My replacement's still an hour out. Oh, just set up the scaffold and that's it? How long do they have you do? Oh, shit. I should be using that one over that. $500 fine.
Looks like me and Andrew Mercado are going to start a petition to mandate prison time for people who hack video games in multiplayer. Feel like that's fair. Well, yeah, I was hoping that Marjorie Taylor Greene would grow. She's not growing.
Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, for releasing this information. Incredibly brave.
Nope, no. So much for full reinventing. What is on this? Is it starting to rain? Oh, it is. So what's happening on the screen is construction workers are taking down Donald Trump's name from the Kennedy Center building, which was ruled by a judge to happen. Oh, and of course, Marco Rubio had to congratulate Russia on Russia Day. What is wrong with these? Secretary of State Marco Rubio, on behalf of the United States of America, I congratulate the Russian people on Russia Day. The United States remains committed to advancing a peaceful solution to the Russia-Ukraine war. We remain hopeful that a durable peace will pave the way toward a more prosperous future for the Russian people and a more constructive relationship between our two countries.
I'm gonna be a minute or two.
Comrade Rubio. I like the parody account Marco Suba Rubio better on X. Marco Suba Rubio. You guys should go follow Marco Suba Rubio. Some say he's a man of mystery. Some say he's a man of talents. Some say he hosts a niche YouTube channel and occasionally leaves a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle for his co-host. Some say. Definitely should go check out Marco Suba Rubio. Oh my god, dude. What? Marjorie Taylor Greene finally in her natural habitat, Russian state TV. Good Lord have mercy. I guess that's what happens when they get kicked out of their circle. They run straight to the Kremlin for money. Sure seems to be a trend. Jack Pacific weighing in, deny Tulsi Gabbard declassifies documents. Confirming 40 Ukraine biolabs funded by the backed US government. Yeah, it might be a rain delay, I don't know. Yeah, they could do a rain delay. I doubt they're gonna climb. Well, I mean, they're under an awning. They'll be alright. We'll find out. Looks like we got some other concerning news also. A Russian tech boss traveling freely across Europe, spotted in Disneyland Paris. It's no problem, just do whatever they want. Trump brought the weather machine out. Yeah, it's starting to dump now. This is another interesting article. The head of Russia's empty sovereign wealth fund says they've conned Trump into agreeing to a number of joint U.S.-Russia infrastructure projects and will tomorrow sign an agreement for the construction of a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. Yes, the Alaska that Kremlin media regularly calls to take back militarily. From Chukotka into the islands, Ratmanova Island to Krusenstern Island, an Arctic tunnel. Unfortunately, the Russians don't have the technology to do such a venture. That's completely full of shit. Spencer Pratt has conceded. I've been laser focused on stopping these commie animals, and I will stop them. Is he packing up his shit? Aliens making it rain. Alright, the Ukraine support bill. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. God, did I save that clip? Kevin Kiley gave the Ukrainians of Sacramento a shout out for being a big part of passing the bill, which was our friend Kim to the channel and Sunflower Society. 9413? 93, 92, 14? No, I sent it. Yeah, I did post it, didn't I? Not too much stuff. When I was on a rampage this morning with posts. Right here. Oh, no. All right, here. It was about 22 minutes in. Check this out.
Right now, so here's come.
Oh, hold on. We're gonna.
Who is so? It's your star.
Sir. Would you like to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off.
So Kevin Kiley gave a shout out to this. Well, it's for the Sunflower Society. Don't let anybody tell you different. Gave a shout out to the Sunflower Society and Lumi 2C, who is a member of our community, who had been calling his office 1,000 times to get a Ukraine support bill passed. And he did a little speech. We're going to watch it.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Meeks, and thank you, everyone. You know, this is what happens when the House of Representatives leads. When we work in a bipartisan way, when we proactively take on the issues of the day, when we work to find real solutions. And, you know, this was the moment to take action, and Congress took action in a way that I think will provide critical leverage to finally allow for the constructive negotiations that can bring this conflict to an end, that can bring peace, to assure that we always deter Russian aggression going forward. So this is a moment where we have an opportunity to end incalculable suffering, but also to vindicate the international norm against invasions, wars of conquest. It's hard to overstate what the consequences would be if that norm falls apart. That is what has undergirded the last several decades of relative peace compared to the rest of world history. And, you know, if we were to lose that, then we'd be back to an era where bloodshed was much more common, where democracy was much more fragile, where freedom was rarer. So this was a critical moment to support the Ukrainian people, to support our allies, to defend our national interests. And Brian is absolutely right. We need to make sure that the Senate now takes the cue. I want to thank in particular Steny Hoyer and Don Bacon, who I've had countless conversations with about this issue, and it's been truly inspiring to see them and how tirelessly they have fought to get us to this day. So for people who are cynical about Congress and the way things work around here, I think this is a great counterexample to that cynicism. And finally, I just want to say a word to the incredible Ukrainian American community in the Sacramento area, who I've gotten to know quite well, you know, long before the invasion, but in particular in the years since, who I've spent a lot of time with and heard from a lot, and heard just the absolute heartbreak that they have endured. I hope that, you know, and I was honored to play a very small part in making this happen. The folks here are really the ones who have been leading on it, but I hope this brings us a step closer to getting this nightmare over with. Thanks very much.
Shout out to the Sunflower Society and Kim, Lumi 2C, for absolutely helping assist in this bill getting passed. My friends, I'm so proud of them. Incredibly. Very cool. Let's get it. We got to get it through the Senate and get it signed, though. So that's going to be Trump's going to try to probably veto it. But hey, don't think your voice doesn't matter, because it does. It absolutely matters. Guys, also, I'm going to plug it one more time here. We're still fundraising a prosthetic limb for Diesel, who lost his leg in combat last week. He was shot in combat in a firefight with the Russians. He dispatched one of the enemies, but he lost his leg up to the groin. So we need to get him a prosthetic, or at least help in the efforts to get him one. Goal is $3,000. Is a 501c3. Raven helped medevac him out, seen here to the left. Of course, Paige in the middle. They're dear friends. The link is in the chat. It'll also be in the description of the video. So if we can, let's get this man walking again, literally back on his feet. That'd be great. All right, check it back in. I think they might actually call this because of the rain.
Okay, listen to me. Are you outside, sir?
Yeah, you see.
Okay, are you outside, sir?
You think they could do something like that? I don't know. Give it a little more, we'll see if the men come back. We'll look for more news articles too. I think I covered just about everything I wanted to talk about today. The big takeaway today was the New York Times in that bombshell Epstein article, which is going to lead to subpoenas. That's a big deal. That's a bombshell article. I read the whole thing, guys, if you missed it earlier. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, guys. We're gonna keep updated with the news. I'm back into streaming. Gonna get back into some videos also. Do some editing. Get back into it. Yeah, we gotta get him his limb. I'm gonna check in on actually the fundraiser real quick to see if we've generated any funds. I really hope we did. Mitch Ashdown with the $25 donation. Thank you, Mitch. Where's the prosthetic? Thank you, thank you. Gene with $50. Thank you, Gene. Under Renegade Chunga's fundraiser for Diesel. Thank you, Gene. Huge. Anonymous fundraiser 4 hours ago for Diesel. $20 donation from Svetlana and Robert in Sweden. May Jesus bless you, Diesel, with far more than enough and with great reward for your long years of service defending Ukraine from Satan's army. Steve Sane with a $20 donation to the Champion Diesel from the #1 Chungus supporter. Thank you, Steve. Anya thrown in a $100 donation. A made a $50 donation for Diesel. Jay Ukraine for Diesel, $25 donation, and thanks for his badassery. Hell yeah. Alright, we're making progress. $25 donation from Tamra. $10 donation from me. That's all I could do right now. I'm so broke. Erica made a $100 donation. Norel with a $15 donation for Diesel. Steve with another $25. Anthony Wells with the 5. Progress is being made. If we gotta do this $25 at a time, we're gonna do it. I'm so happy. I'm so happy we're making progress. This is the most righteous fundraiser I think we could possibly do, too. Dean with the gifted membership, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Going to Richard Don Quixote. You know, Ivanka's husband is so buddy-buddy with Yahoo that when he'd come from Israel to speak here, his parents would give Yahoo his room and he slept in the basement. Holy cow. It's wild. Yeah, we got progress we've made on the fundraiser. I'm happy. I'm happy for that. It's a terrible tragedy, but knowing that people care, it's going to go a long way. I know Diesel's going to be really grateful to hear that. Nick Shirley, I'm done exposing fraud. Send me to the octagon. Can he wrestle?
Ready, set, go! Wow! You're practicing his wrestling. Oh, he's going for a guillotine.
Don't give him full
Oh,
mount.
nice! Ready,
Oh
set,
no,
go!
he can't. That was bones, dude. Armbar. Whatever. That goon. What a goon. What a goofy ass kid.
I was like, I think I was repositioning. She said you wanted me to do a live person. I was like, okay. They were like, oh no, we don't want to do a live. All right, so anyways, slowly faded the lights in after they was going on. Man,
It's gonna rain on the day that they fight in the octagon too. They're calling for thunder showers Sunday.
all right.
Yeah, I do. They're a bunch of crooked people. You're talking about with respect to all of the things that they put against me? Yeah. Well, it's come out that in so many different ways. Thank you very much for that question. I appreciate it. But in so many different ways, the election was rigged. The 2020 election was rigged. We found that out.
Shut the fuck up. Trump, guys like me built the country. I watch all these ingrates. They're always complaining. They didn't build anything. Look at this guy.
These ingrates. These people built the country, not the complainers. The complainers didn't build the country. These people built the country, whether it's fishermen or farmers or anything else. Me, guys like me, they built the country. And, you know, I watch all these ingrates. They're always complaining. They didn't build anything. They couldn't build anything. Look at what's happened in Minnesota, Somalia. All these people came in from Somalia. They ripped off our system. These people built the country, not the
Somalis.
The complainers didn't build the country. These
Always hating on the brown people. All he's got, hate. Arthur Palmer was rigged. Apparently, Donald Trump now built the country. TPUSA leadership admits using AI to create the video they circulated of Charlie Kirk saying he wants Erica Kirk to replace him if he dies. What in the fuck? Marco Rubio, I am sanctioning Cuba's state-owned energy company, Union Cuba Petroleo, under President Trump's EO 14404. Cuba's communist elites have weaponized energy as a tool of social control and kleptocratic profit. For decades, the regime has stolen and hoarded available fuel, using it for Castro's private jet. Security services, so we're just gonna choke Cuba out and take the island. Wow. Mike Lee's crying about the freaking Church of Latter-day Saints. Oh, Rand Paul's jumping on the Fauci COVID-19 bullshit. Dan Bongino's still cucking. This is the post he does now. This is it.
Today is June 12th, and Donald J. Trump is the President of the United States of America.
Yeah, thanks for you for not having balls. We got more UFOs, guys. Yeah, they might have left for lunch, or no, it's past lunchtime. This is on the East Coast, so the rain might have sent them home. They might have canceled for the day. Or maybe their job was just to put up the scaffold. More UFO files. Apparently, Russian women are feeling psychologically violated from drone strikes for 3 days.
Знаешь, как жить, как... Не знаю, это просто какой-то кошмар. Эти 3 дня нас кошмарят. Эти 3 дня нас кошмарят воздушные тревоги и ночью, и утром, и этому нет ни конца, ни края. Что-то такого не было, мне кажется, никогда. И это морально действительно тяжело, потому что, ну, ты не понимаешь вообще, когда ты выходишь на улицу, ты не знаешь, как жить, как что делать, как детям быть, потому что малой в садике у меня сидит в убежище, старшему сегодня колледж отменили, потому что с утра воздушная тревога и транспорт не ходит, я думаю, на дистант переведут. И вот мне интересно, вообще этому будет конец? Почему никто ничего не делает? Я не знаю, почему нет никакого ответа. Я понять не могу, почему наши не расхерачат этот Киев долбаный, почему они там встречают всяких с Европы непонятно кого, улыбаются, что-то там общаются.
He's confused why her men can't smash the shit out of Kyiv. What a fucking wow, dude. Oh, Pete Hegseth's trying to bench press. That's hilarious.
Somebody get one more. 35. Let's go. Push. Come on, hit it. Somebody get in here. 30 seconds left. 44. One more.
Oh my god, dude. Weak. Mark Kelly got to say. I like Mark Kelly a lot.
And that, hey, here's something you probably didn't know about me. I like watching UFC. I stayed up really late a few weeks ago to watch Ronda Rousey end that fight in, I think, 17 seconds with the armbar. Glad she won. A little bit disappointed that I had to stay up so late to see it. Anyway, I'm a fan of the sport. But let me tell you which UFC fight I'm not going to be watching. That's the one on the lawn of the White House. I mean, how ridiculous is this? President builds a stadium on the lawn of the People's House. They're going to do the weigh-in at the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, I think of that as sort of a sacred place. I mean, they're going to do this in front of the carving in the side of the Lincoln Memorial of the Emancipation Proclamation. This is ridiculous. So, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be watching. I hope the fighters do well and are safe. But this time I will not be tuning in.
I'm not a UFC fan. I used to watch it when I was in my 20s and thought it was tough shit. Oh, yeah, Robbie Roadsteamer's out there.
I have to leave. I'm sick of... I looked at Elon as if to say, hurry boy, ICE is coming after you. What? I have to leave? I'm sick of his socks. Gonna take a lot to get Elon out of this country. It's gonna take 10,000 soldiers, maybe some infantry. Send Elon back to Africa. Send Elon back to Africa. You're awesome, though.
Oh my god. Robbie! Fucking love that guy. I can't believe we're back at the biolabs bullshit. Fuck, where are we? Timeline did I wake up in? Okay, I gotta see if I can do a Donald Trump impression. The Nordics, great people, tremendous people, very tall. Everybody talks about the Zeta Reticuli aliens, total disaster, low energy. But the Nordics, incredible, beautiful spacecraft, the best spacecraft. Frankly, they've never seen interdimensional trade deals like mine.
Yeah, no problem. I know you.
Oh my god.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Dude. Steve saying with the gifted. Hello, Steve. Thank you for the gift. It goes to Kimberly. Thank you, thank you. God, so many people are gonna jump on this biolabs bullshit. I'm not even ready for that today. It's gonna block them all. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That might be it. Oh, they're using Live View also. That's quite the investment. I don't have enough time to run one. They're expensive too. Multi-platform. When you get all tricked out if you're doing multi-platforms, it's like $400 something a month, I think. If you really want like to do the Express edition. That's it. I think that's it, guys. I think they cut it. Well, all right. Well, I covered everything I wanted to on the news for the most part today. I know there's probably a ton I missed, but that's what popped to the top of my mind. I think we're gonna call it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the gift of memberships. Thank you guys for more importantly, thank you for the donations to the fundraiser. We got a long way to go. We got a long way to go for the prosthetic limb, but we are going to hack away at it as much as possible and support Diesel in his recovery as best as we can. Thank you guys for being here. Tune in to the next one. We'll be on the ground also. I believe I'm going on the ground back in Sacramento for another Ukrainian rally this month. So stay tuned for that. They'll be on the 24th. Trying to get some interviews in. I want to talk to Kim in Sacramento about the bill that she helped pass through Kevin Kiley that we just watched a little bit ago. And we will go from there. All right, guys. Peace out. Here is your outro. Have a wonderful freaking day.
They wave their flags like they own the sky, shouting loud but they don't know why. Books untouched, their minds run dry. Truth's a stranger, they pass right by. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. They chant the words they barely know, hollow pride in a shallow show, pointing fingers where the winds don't blow, building walls where the rivers flow. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. A patriot's heart should beat with grace, not with fists or a hate-filled face. If love's the seed, then let it grow, not in shadows, but where light will show. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame.